What's up? How's it going? Good evening. My name is Roswell, and this is Alliance Late Night, episode 20. Um, it's been an interesting week, in work week. Good training this week. It went on at Dragonplex Dojo. For those of you who don't know, go back and listen to the last episode 19. I give a rundown of what's been going on with me as far as my pursuit of becoming a professional wrestler. Little sore this week. Sore. Did some drop downs. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It looks very fluent and easy on TV because you're not doing it. But when you're doing it and you're jumping up off of that canvas, you have to be timely. Transition in the ring is important not only for it to look good, also so when it gets hurt. And when trips up and falls on their face, breaks a leg, pops a knee, whatever. So yeah, that's been my week. But tonight's episode, I'm actually going to be going back and touching on a topic that I discussed in one of my what do they call those things? My YouTube short. Also, the Alliance guys spoke and touched on this last night in their episode. That's over at the Alliance blog, the Alliance guys. They discussed this during their about 2 hour stream yesterday, and I want to go ahead and give some of my insight on this. And the topic was what's going on with the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. Currently, Mims is the champion. I do like Mims. I've liked the transition from Mims by himself to having Black G's in his corner. I've liked the attitude change in Mims. He was the good guy. Mild tempered, going with the rules, kind of guy. But there's been a shift in his approach, and it's a little bit more serious, a little bit more rough, a little bit more in your face, a little bit more you're likely to get socked just because he feels like it. And I'm digging it. However, what I'm not digging is the booking of him in National Heavyweight Championship. Now, if you're new to the National Wrestling Alliance, you may not know this. In Billy Corgan's NWA, since he's purchased and owns and operates this promotion, the NWA National Heavyweight Championship has replaced the old NWA United States Championship, which was held by all the greats: Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff. Um, you know. I don't. Not gonna go through all the names, but nonetheless, the changeover from the United States Heavyweight Championship is kind of obvious. The WWE is using it, so as to not cause confusion, yes, let's go ahead and instate the National Heavyweight Championship. I have no problem with that. It's taken a little while for the belt to grow on me. I still don't find it to be the most attractive championship belt in the promotion. However, it's grown on me. But what I've been trying to really grab a hold on to more than the way it looks is its value and its history. Right? Again, like I said in prior episodes, championship belts, championship titles, they mean something to me. They may not mean that much to a lot of other people. Who wins and who loses, whatever, whatever. That's kind of here nor there. But ultimately, the championship belt itself is part of the story. That's why you have professional wrestlers who name their belts. By naming those belts, you give it character. By giving it character, you give it the engine, so to speak, to tell its own story. How that story is told is the journey and the travel of that championship belt, the wins, the losses, the upsets, the changing of holders in a clean way or in a dirty way, retribution, payback. Who does the belt really, really love? Who does it keep ending up with? So you see, if you look at it from that perspective, the championship belts tell a story all on its own, all on their own. So I'm a little bit frustrated with the booking. And I like Mims. I like what's going on, but there's a boss. The boss who books. How much control do the wrestlers have, and how much say so do they have? It's neither here nor there. I don't know. Not in the locker room. I'm not buddies with anybody there, so I don't have any insight on that. So what I know is what I see. And what I know is that in the hierarchy of championship belts in the National Wrestling Alliance, more particularly NWA Power. That's the main show, right? That is essentially Jim Crockett Promotions of today's era of the NWA. I know there's no comparison, but I'm just trying to explain for anybody who's coming back to the brand who hasn't watched in a while. NWA Power is the main show that plays host to all the main championship belts. That's the 10 pounds of gold World's Championship held by Tom Latimer. That's the National Heavyweight Championship held by Mims. That's the NWA World Tag Team Championship held by, I don't know right now. Is it still Murdoch's? I don't know. I think it's still them. Then you have the Junior Heavyweight Championship held by Alex Taylor. And TV title, NWA World's Television Championship, is apparently held by Carson Drake. I don't know how that happened, but there's a lot of backlog in the episodes. So us as the viewers, we're kind of lost. But I've already discussed that in another episode. Then you have the Women's Television Championship, which is now held by Tiffany Nieves, who's also part of Exodus Pro in Ohio. And of course the NWA Women's World Heavyweight Championship, Kenzie Page. I think I got them all. Women's Tag Team Champions as well. I don't know who the Women's Tag Team Champions are right now. That kind of says something, right? I watch I watch the NWA every week, and I don't know who the champions are in some of these cases. Anyway, there's a hierarchy. There's steps to getting to the World Heavyweights Championship, the 10 pounds of gold. Junior, then to the Television Championship, then to the NWA National Heavyweight Championship, then to the World's Championship. So the NWA's National Heavyweight Championship is the second most important championship in the entire promotion. But it doesn't feel like that. And I can't really say because there's more emphasis put on, let's say, the NWA World Television Championship. However, we see a lot more activity going on with Carson Drake. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why there's no one in line. Why isn't there a line to get to the National Heavyweight Championship? If you actually think about it, it's been bypassed because that's not the route that Carson Drake went. Carson Drake went straight for the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA World's Championship. Why didn't he go after Mims? I guess there's no reason for them to beef, right? They're both kind of rule benders, different paths. Okay, so I get it. I get that, right? But what I'm trying to explain is process. This is how you work up biggest title of them all. I don't understand why there is no emphasis put on this championship. So, anyway, conversation went. Who do you think should be in line to get this championship? Who do you think that is out there that would make sense to be lined up for this championship? Now, I'm going to start this off by saying this may seem like I'm being kind of an ass, but really, go to the NWA's website and look at their roster. Me personally, my show, my opinion, say what I want. My opinion, there's nobody in the National Wrestling Alliance right now that I would really be that excited to see go for the national championship. Now, that's not to say that someone couldn't be built up to get there. I thought that's what was going to happen with Burchill. That's the kind of direction it was going. I thought that's what we were going to do. Now, what is he doing? Okay, let's go through the roster. Who would who's there that you would want to carry that championship that would give it the prestige of anyone who's carried it in the past, right? The national and the heavyweight championship, when you win those, you carry it like Ric Flair carried his championship, whether it was the big gold or the 10 pounds of gold, it doesn't matter, right? That's what we're looking at. Someone who fits that that appearance. I won't say mold because we're talking about style. We're talking about you're dressed to impress. You're showing up like you're getting ready to cut an interview on ESPN and the evening news. And then when you get geared up for a match, we're excited to see you go because we know you bring it. I don't personally see anybody there who's in that position right now. Sadly to say, we don't have any feuds or beefs going on that's allowing us to see anyone work up to the point of challenging and us, the fans, the viewers, the patrons, being excited about it. And that's unfortunate because as a promotion, as a company, you don't want to continue to outsource to have caliber opponents. That's why we have the territories. The territories are supposed to be the proving grounds. Work your way up through the territories, get some wins under your belt, maybe win a championship, lose that championship, and say, hey, well, I've done this here. I want to give it a shot up over there, power. Whether they're in Dallas or in Florida or wherever they're doing their taping, it doesn't matter. I want to go over there now. I want to test those waters now. I want to set my sights on the national title now. So far, I think the only challenger that I can think of off the top of my head that kind of fit that was Grimm. Unfortunately, we didn't see a buildup of Grimm prior to him challenging for the championship. Now, viewers out there, tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right. I do believe that the championship was on the line. And I believe that Mims and Grimm met twice. One of those was in Dothan for a signature event. May have been 3 times, but I know at least twice. No proper build up for us to get invested in Grimm, who put on a good performance. He went out there, he did his thing. I believed that he wanted that championship. And that's what you're supposed to do. But again, we have the territories. We have, let me see if I can name them all off. NWA Chicago, NWA New Mexico, which is Duke City Championship Wrestling, NWA Texas, which is Texas Style Wrestling and Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, Crossfire Wrestling in Tennessee, Joe Casana Promotions, JCP, NWA. What am I missing? World League Wrestling, right? So those are our territories as of today. And out of all those territories, we don't have something or anything lined up for this to go do-si-do. Okay, now you go. Okay, now you go. Okay, now you go. That's the whole point of the territory system, so you can promote from within. But here we are, this episode, I'm playing Fantasy Booker. I'm going to play Fantasy Booker because if we have to wait for the NWA to build up a worthy opponent by setting them up with the matches, with the right opponents to get to that point for us as the watchers, as the viewers to be vested, we're talking about months out. We're talking about months out because remember taping schedule. They tape and we don't see those matches for 2 to 3 months. Which is even more of a frustration as a fan because I'm the podcaster guy right now and I'm playing Fantasy Booker and I have this little piece of paper with a list of names on it. And even if let's hypothetically say I can magically make all these names get in line and work their way through the NWA to take a shot at Mims or to take a shot at the television championship as well, because both of those need more action. They both need more action. If that were to happen hypothetically, we're still talking about months out. And some of the names that I have, I believe are talented, worthy of the title shot. Of course, given they work their way up the ranks, they go and put in the work. Talking months out. We're talking about months out. I mean, at this point, not going to see Crockett Cup. Just about June. We're probably not going to see it until about August, which is why I believe a lot of people put out spoilers because they know it's going to take forever. And we were all excited and we were all worked up to see something now. But anyway, so here I go with my fantasy booking. Some of the names that I'm going to mention were also mentioned on the Alliance Guys podcast, which again, alliance-blog.com. I believe I got that right. Check it out, the Alliance blog. You can search it. Um, so I'm going to go through some names, and I'm going to try to explain why. So again, some of these names were already mentioned. Richard Holiday. First of all, he looks like a champ. Everywhere he's going outside of the NWA, he's becoming a champion. I think he holds 2 or 3 belts currently right now. ACW, Fight Life, and potentially one more, but I know at least those 2. He's championship pedigree. He was holding a belt, a title when he was in MLW. He's got the charisma. He has the mic skills. He has the ring skills. He's a well-rounded professional wrestler who's getting his shot. He's getting his shot out there as he works himself around, as he should as an independent wrestler. He's getting his shots. He's making things happen for himself, which congratulations. I watch, just like many of the fans that I know are watching, and they applaud your work, Richard Holiday. However, when it comes to the NWA, we believe many of the NWA hardcores believe you deserve more. And I believe that you are a name that should be thrown in the hat to be in the direction of the NWA National Heavyweight Championship and even possibly the NWA Television Championship. Yes, he took some L's in Exodus Pro, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? You win some, you lose some, but we know what he has. He's not tarnished whatsoever. So now would be the time to put him in those matches, to get him lined up. That's one of my picks. And he's been a pick for me since he's arrived in Exodus Pro. Okay, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. This name was brought up. And I mentioned this in one of my YouTube shorts. It has about 500 views on it right now. I would like to see Slice Boogie be in a predicament to get an opportunity to challenge for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. I believe he's pretty solid in the ring. I've seen some of what he's been doing with Santino Bros. He looks more sharpened to me. As far as marketability, I'm not really that focused on what he appears like now, how he comes to the ring now. I'm more focused on, does he have what it takes to put on and go after the gold and look good doing it? I believe he has what it takes. I believe he has what it takes. Now it was mentioned that maybe his namesake, and the prestige that comes with the national championship may be a conflict, and I do see that to a certain degree. I do. But is it enough to say, nah, that wouldn't work because just because of the name? I don't. That's a hard one for me. I understand that. I understand that case being made, but I don't know if I'm the money guy. I'm the booker man, right? And I'm looking to book this out for 3 to 6 months. I believe that I have the ability, along with the athletes, to win over regardless of that name. Regardless of that name. I mean, we had somebody who wrestled as Hornswoggle, or is that what the name was? The little guy. The crowd liked him. Yeah, different stick, different kind of thing. But I'm just trying to make a little point. I do know there's a little bit of difference. All right, don't. Oh, that's a terrible comparison. I get the difference, but the name was just focus on the name, right? Um, I believe it could work, and over 500 people viewed it on my YouTube page. So somebody else out there thinks it's a good idea. It didn't get 500 thumbs up, but it got 500 views. Just saying. Also on my list, I have a few people, but I'm gonna go with the most known names first. Rhett Titus, who already made a short stint in NWA USA. I believe he was there for the Junior Heavyweight Championship tournament, just like a few other names that were there. Um, they had their matches, they gave it their go. After the tournament, I think there was a few more matches by some of those participants, and then they moved on. Red Titus looks like professional wrestling. He is wrestling as it's meant to be. He has an all business look that I think fits with the NWA National Heavyweight Championship contingency or um, level of competitiveness that it represents. I think that he would look good with the belt. I think that he would carry the belt well. I think that the level of value that you want that championship belt to have, that he can bring that he can add that he can add that value to that, for us to want to see more people come after that championship belt. I mean, he was Ring of Honor television champion. He was tag team champions twice in Ring of Honor. He was part of the foundation. I say he's still part of the foundation, although they may not be clicked up right now. The foundation, from what I can see, is a thing that supersedes wherever they go. So he's another pick. That's another pick. Uh, Two other names that are familiar and have already been in the NWA, but they're not currently on the roster. The Pope. The Pope was the NWA television champion, and he did the best that he could in the situation that he was in. I'm glad he won the championship. He looked good, talked well, performed well in the ring. But we all know what we saw. We all know what he ran into. And outwardly to us, everything was professional. So clap it up for that. But I would love to see him come back and go after the gold again. But why not go after the national championship this time? You already had the television championship. You've been gone long enough for us to not forget about you, but to be shocked if and when you were to appear. He was to appear. We know he has go. We know that he is liked by the fans. We know that we won't be necessarily looking at his matches thinking to ourselves, well, is this the same old kind of thing? Because we're not seeing his kind of wrestling currently in the NWA. I I believe that fans would take to it and grab a hold of that if he was to make that pursuit, return and make that pursuit. So for that, he's on my list. and he's excellent on the mic, and that would add so much more depth to his pursuit to that championship. Another name that's on my list that once was in the NWA but has been gone for quite some time. But in his absence away from the NWA, he's been winning gold and stepping up month after month, year after year. And he recently was the holder of the relentless heavyweight championship. I hope that I'm getting that right. I believe that's what the belt was, not the Pacific Northwest Championship. Relentless Wrestling out of Eastern Washington. He just lost that championship to another person that's on my list. And this wrestler that I'm talking about is Royce Isaacs. Again, another person that was there in the NWA prior when they were just getting things kicked off. He was tag team champions with Tom Latimer. So he's still in the minds of the people who have been following since Corgan took over. If he were to appear in the NWA and make his mission statement known, I think that the crowd would go crazy. I think that us as a fans would be into it, immediately into it. The guy's no joke. He's the business. And that's what we want to see pursuing that championship. And I want to say, this is not about this episode and me giving these names and talking about people going after this championship. This is not me saying that I don't want Mims to be the champion. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need more action in that division, the division of the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. That's all I'm saying. So I want to clarify that. But again, Royce Isaacs is legit. He's business. He's improved immensely since leaving the NWA, spending some time in New Japan again, spending some time in Relentless Wrestling up here in the Pacific Northwest, and a host of other promotions, sharpening his skills. The guy's in excellent shape. If you haven't seen him recently, go check this guy out. His body shape looks like he'll knock you out if you ask him the wrong question. And that is the kind of tone that I want to see in the pursuit of this championship that we're talking about. The national belt. Whether any of these people that I'm mentioning get to the world's title or not, that's neither here nor there. I'm just talking about this division getting heated up and active to where now our world's heavyweight champion has something to talk about. He has something to talk about because he's the world's heavyweight champion. He has to acknowledge the activity happening right beneath his feet, right at his back, breathing on his neck. This is where we start to get development. That's how it's supposed to work. This is where you have not a fork in the road, but you have multiple lanes like you're getting ready to pass over the border. Pick a lane. Which way you want to go? Where does it lead? Right? So definitely Royce Isaacs he's up there as far as someone that I would like to see reemerge or that I would appreciate reemerging in the NWA and taking that beeline for that. Let's see, where am I at? Okay, here's a name that some of you may not know, but this is the individual who just dethroned Royce Isaacs. He's appeared in Relentless, Prestige, and GCW. The more I see this guy, the more that I'm impressed. His style is a little bit outside of little bit outside of the style that I'm really into, but he does what he does really well. And this guy goes by the name of Blackwood. Dependent guy making his rounds, and every match that I've seen of him featuring him has just been a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd. Now he's not a name known to the NWA fans, so this he were to appear, if he were to come to the NWA, this would have to be definitely a long shot. We're not talking about turn and burn. He shows up, June 1st, and by the end of the month, he's challenging for the championship, loses and disappears. That can't be this case. Not with this individual. I challenge you all to go look up Blackwood, um, Blackwood GCW, Blackwood Relentless, Blackwood Prestige Wrestling. Check out some of this stuff. You be the judge. You decide if he would be a fit for the NWA and for the National Heavyweight Championship. I say, why not? Because what do they have going on? I mean, really, at this point, how picky can we be as fans? Because we know that we're not getting it in house right now. Moving on. What's another name that I have on here? Um, and some of you are gonna go, nah, this dude's tripping. I don't know if I'm gonna watch his podcast anymore after he dropped that name. But a guy who has an MMA background, who's held gold in multiple promotions. He's up there in age, but as far as I know, he's currently healthy. I don't know where he's appearing at. They had to look up some of the social links, and it doesn't look like too much is going on. It does look like he's still following what's going on, but it doesn't look like he's actively in the ring. And that is Jake Hager, Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger in the WWE. I think that his appearance in the NWA and pursuing the National Heavyweight Championship would be somewhat controversial because he's of an opinion that conflicts with some other folks socially outside of professional wrestling. But in the environment and in the world of professional wrestling, you can work with that. You can harness that to get eyes. I don't think that the wrestling side of things is something to really worry about. It was more about how do you tell the story and get all those raw emotions from his participation in the NWA promotion. If he were to win because of who he is, the eyes will be on the National Wrestling Alliance. Remember, again, MMA background. People in podcasts that would never talk about the NWA would mention the NWA because he won. Now, I'm not always for playing off of people simply for getting eyes and getting hits and getting views. But when it makes sense and it's maneuvered and executed correctly, which it could be in his case, it's a win-win for everybody. Now, I'm not mentioning any dollar amounts or who, again, this is hypothetical, so I'm not going to, oh, he might not be affordable and this and that and the other. We're just putting that to the side right now. And I have two more names on my list, and I'll wrap this up. He hasn't been around for a long, long time. Matter of fact, the He hasn't been around for a long time. This is probably the amount of time, or somewhere, give or take, a little bit shorter. I say a little bit shorter. But when Nick Aldis lost the World's Heavyweight Championship, one of the things that was an issue is that he never went away. He was right there. And if you're a hardcore NWA fan, you understand why he was there, why he never went away. And that's unfortunate. It was unfortunate for him. It was unfortunate for the business that is the NWA. When you are good at what you do, whether you're the bad guy or the good guy, when you take a hiatus and return, it does something. It does something to the viewer. Sparks that memory. Remember when he was around? Remember the last things that happened? Oh, he's back. I wonder who he's going to check. I wonder what his pursuit is going to be. I wonder what he has to say. I wonder why he even came back here. Someone who's been in the NWA that could do that and have that effect right now, and it would make all the sense in the world, especially to go challenge against Mims, which I don't know if this person has anything to do with the business whatsoever. I don't know if they ever want to be a professional wrestler again. That person would be Jordan Clearwater. I was hoping that he appeared a couple signature events ago. Did not happen. If he were to appear in the NWA right now and lay it out, this is what I'm going to do. That belt's going to be mine. Black G's, we used to be homies, but now you don't know me. Get in the way and I'll punch you in the face. I mean, it writes itself. It writes itself. I would be as excited to see that and know that it's going in that direction as I've been to see Tom Latimer challenging in Maple Leaf Pro. That's how excited I would be. If I knew that I can watch a pay-per-view or signature event, or that it was going to be on the NWA YouTube channel when they finally met for that championship, I would pay just like I pay for MLP's events. I would dedicate and set aside the time to watch just like I did for those events, just to watch Tom. Tom and who he challenged was the reasons why I watched those events. That's the kind of energy I would have toward Jordan Clearwater returning to the NWA to challenge for that championship. But I'm not talking about here today, challenging 2 weeks from today, and then burnout. What do we do? We're just spinning around in circles. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about proper execution over a duration of time for retention of fan attention. Sorry, I don't mean to talk like people are stupid or whatever, but it's like, damn it. Somebody out there hear me? It would work. I have zero doubt. Would he be a draw outside of NWA fans? Not as much. I don't think so. But with proper build, those who are fans of their territories, those fans would watch this develop and say it's executed on the upper levels of execution. It's going to look good on YouTube. It's going to look good on the social platforms. The playbacks are going to look good. We have to put more faith in the people who have either been there or that are there to build. Unfortunately, here we are. He's a former alumni, but this is somebody who's not there. So this is almost like outsourcing still. I think that would be great. I think that people would lose it to see him come back right now. My last pick, and this episode ran a lot longer than I planned on, but I want to try to break down my reasoning for some of these names. I could go really, really in depth, but it's just me talking. I don't have a counter opinion, so I don't want to bore you to death. Going on and on and on, and it's just me. Um, so my last name on this list, I'm sure many of you who are NWA fans have not heard of. I'm sure that EC3 knows who this person is. I'm sure that a lot of the locker room in NWA knows who this person is. He's known as the War Machine, and he has gone to battle with a War Machine in Brian Cage. He currently is signed to the WWE, which I found out today. I thought this was in the works. Maybe where I read this is not correct. If it is, they moved really quick because the reports of interest were just like earlier this week. And the guy that I'm speaking of wrestled in All Japan Pro Wrestling, which is why I say I'm sure EC3 knows who he is. I'm sure the locker room. The name is Mike D. Bessio, a Belgian born wrestler, second generation. He's built somewhat like Brian Cage, not quite as big, but definitely a solid guy. But he's doing maneuvers off the rope, walking the rope, flips, out of the ring dives, just action packed, high impact. I would say somewhat stiff, but not in a manner that, from what I've seen, where he's reckless or appears to be reckless. This talent in the NWA, regardless of what championship he was going after, is what is needed. But to see someone like that, if the opportunity was there for him to come in, vignettes, video promos, just like they did Vader before he showed up in NWA back in the day / WCW. Get the fans vested. And then here he is. Work up through the matches to get to the point of, and I think that you would have people standing almost the entire match to see what he and Mims would do. He's not as well known, and he's in All Japan, but he definitely is the package. And I don't know who's doing scouting or whatever for the NWA. Again, that's what the territories are for. But individuals, talents like that are, and talents like everybody mentioned on this list. This is what we need to see coming into the NWA and not just popping in to pop back out. We need to have these such talents, and there's a long list. I have a page pulled up, and there's like I don't know 150 names on it or something like that, and a good percentage of them are garbage. That's just the way that it is. They're a lot of them are no good. A lot of them are nowhere near the level of even being in this conversation. And we're talking about the NWA. We're not talking about somebody coming into the WWE or TNA, where we're talking about somebody coming to the NWA. A bar needs to be set here. So everybody else on the roster comes up to here. This national belt is important. It is a excuse me. It's important. It is a stepping stone to the 10 pounds of gold, the granddaddy of them all. Just like the Intercontinental belt to the WWE's World's Heavyweight Championship. It is the step before. So anyone in that division pursuing that championship should already they're already thought of as possible world's champions. So the level of execution on all cylinders has to be there. So that our buddy, our boy, Mims is not standing there just looking good holding the title. In order for him to look better, in order for him to look like he should have that belt, in order for him to appear to be the man that will hold it forever, he needs to challenge those who challenge him and actually look like, oh, they might have it. They might actually beat him. The exact same way that Maple Leaf Pro is booking Tom Latimer in their events right now. That exact same way. I didn't know who Stu Grayson was, but look at the booking. Look at the match and the story that it told. Look at the match before that. It told the story of, yeah, Tom is a champion, and Tom is a big dude, and you don't want to get powerbombed by him. But guess what? There's some other guys out here that have it. There's some other guys out here that will give it to him. It's just a matter of time before somebody comes up, punches his ticket. That's wrestling as it's meant to be. I'm going to end it on that note. Remember to please like, follow, subscribe, share if you like. Talk about me in the comments. Tell me ways that I can improve this. My inboxes are open. Just don't be an ass, and I'll read what you have to say. I'm trying to make this better. It's just me talking my thing. Try not to cuss. And not the perfect show. It's just a guy who loves wrestling, talking about wrestling. And if you have insight or anything to ask or to say, feel free to do it. I am not unreachable. I'm a regular person, and I like being social about professional wrestling. That's my thing. So anyway, again, like, follow, subscribe, share with a friend, and for anybody out there that's watching this, if you aspire, if you have ambitions, daydreams, dreams at night about becoming a professional wrestler, do your research, find a reputable school in your area, make sure that they're safe, above board, check who's been through the school, who can verify the ins and outs of that school, and find a way. Find a way to get enrolled, find a way to pursue and go after your dreams. Time waits for nobody. Tomorrow's not promised. Who cares about the naysayers? They have their path, and you are on your own. So make it happen. Until next time, I'm Rosville. This is Alliance Late Night, episode 20. I made it to 20. The statistics say, and all the videos that talk about channels struggling say, that I should have given up by now. Why would I give up when I talk about wrestling all the time anyway? whatever. I'll see y'all on the next one.